This is Brandon Tatum.
Y'all just see what unfunny ex-comedian D.L. Hughley just said about me? Posted a picture of me and my wife. To do what? To be a racist?
Your name is, your moniker is Officer Tatum, not Detective Tatum. You didn't make your way to detective. You're an influencer who says what white people want you to say.
Why are you talking about me? You need to be worried about your own household. A white man didn't cheat on your wife. A white man didn't abuse your daughter. A white boy, I'd say. And a white man didn't take the life of your infant child whom you had out of wedlock while you were married. These are all black people doing this. And yet you cry about white people every day of the week. I want to tell you guys about Shenergy. If you're looking for an energy drink that's clean, 75 milligrams of caffeine, nootropics that help you with focus so you don't crash and have all that crazy stuff in your drinks. You don't need to do that. That's over time that's going to destroy you. But we didn't just create an energy drink because we care about your overall energy and health. So we created an energy drink and a night drink. One that helps you go to sleep, wake up with energy, and the other one gives you sustainable energy throughout the day. So if you're looking for a company that agrees with your values, American-based, American-made, American customer service, look no further. ShenergyLife.com has you covered. And then we have a money-back guarantee. You take the product that don't work for you, we'll get your money back. All right, let's get to D.L. Hughley. Look at this sorry, big forehead. Need some oil on that freaking canvas he got on top of his head. He need to take his sunglasses off, but he need to have his sunglasses on so he can look at his teleprompter so he can talk trash to me. First of all, D.L. Hughley is not on my level. One point in time, D.L. Hughley used to be the man. At one point in time, I used to like D.L. Hughley and I thought he was funny. Now, he was not even the top 5 in the Kings of Comedy, in my opinion. But I thought I respected his game. Just to grow up and realize D.L. Hughley is a simp, and he's a beta, and he's a crybaby, allegedly worth $10 million, but he's still crying about the white man every day. And he crying about the white man, yet he worked for white men companies. The one he worked for now is the CEO. I think it's run by black people, but there's also white people in C-suite positions in that company. It's not an all-black company. Black. He's so black that he don't even care about black women enough to not cheat on his wife. He posted a picture of my wife. At least I ain't cheating on my wife. He cheated on his wife, got an outside baby. And a very unfortunate situation happened with his outside baby. And he wanted to come at me when he wasn't even there to protect his children. Then his young daughter gets into a sexual situation with a minor, where they both were minors. And she came to her dad in confidence, her black father, in confidence, and said she was being abused, and he didn't believe her. Brother, why are you talking about me? I'm finna play the clip for y'all. Why are you talking about me? You need to be worried about your own household. And let's put that in position, or put that in perspective. All the drama I just mentioned with his inner family ain't not one of the suspects in that situation white. A white man didn't cheat on your wife. A white man didn't abuse your daughter. A white boy, I'd say. And a white man didn't take the life of your infant child whom you had out of wedlock while you were married. These are all black people doing this. And yet you cry about white people every day of the week. Listen to what this fool said about me, and I'm gonna critique it as we go. Roll it.
This is Brandon Tatum.
Y'all just see what unfunny ex-comedian D.L. Hughley just said about me? Posted a picture of me and my wife. To do what? To be a racist? You are the lamest dude in all of comedy.
What is more lame than calling yourself the job you used to have? You're not an officer anymore.
Pause.
You were football.
It's called a moniker. People consider me as Officer Tatum because I became famous as Officer Tatum. And D.L. Hughley, that's your stage name. You still going by your stage name, Negro. You ain't even a comedian no more, passing out on stage and stuff. You ain't even funny no more. But you going by D.L. Hughley. So people want to consider to call me the Officer Tatum or Officer Tatum. I'm fine with that. It's called a brand. Roll the clip.
A player who failed at being a football player. You didn't make the team, so you became an officer. That wasn't working out, so you became an influencer.
Talked about it. He said, I didn't make the team, or I didn't make it to the NFL. Okay, I don't think that's anything somebody can be sad about. And I'm also glad I don't have CTE either, so it's not all bad. And D.L. Hughley, somebody told me you were 5'6" or something. You would never make it to. You won't even make it to college. You were in high school, little beta male talking about. Then I became a cop. What did I do as a cop? I protected black people with my life. D.L. Hughley is telling jokes. You better sit your butt down. Let him finish.
Emotion. What is more emotional than this?
The word.
You cried for a white dude who the people didn't even think you worthy to speak at his funeral. You said you wouldn't cry for your son, but you cried for him. That's not emotion?
Time out.
You
Lies. First and foremost, I did cry when Charlie died, and I could have cut the feed off, and so nobody could ever see me cry. But it was an emotional thing when your friend gets assassinated and his neck blows out and there's blood gushing out of his neck in front of the world. That's traumatic. And he was a good dude. That's why emotions came out. And I was really thinking the reason I started crying was more about his kids. As soon as I thought about his kid, it just hit me. I thought about his little kids, and it was just sad. He's just a young man in his 30s getting assassinated. But see, y'all fools crying for low-life drug dealers who get killed by the police. At least Charlie was honorable. At least Charlie was a man of God. At least Charlie was blameless. Charlie didn't cheat on his wife like you cheating on your wife. Okay, let him finish.
talked of the way Benjamin Crump talks.
Just want to blame white folks. And so I go out there because I know that lame Al Sharpton and Mr. I can't read Benjamin Crump is just race hustling, y'all.
You talked about how those boys are innocent. You had proof. Now, I don't know whether they're innocent or not. I don't know what happened there. But I know one conversation with a failed football player and a social media influencer is not the predicate. You don't have any toxicology report. You don't have an autopsy report. You talked about black people acting a fool.
Okay, let's get to this. This fool say, I don't know the truth, but you are not a failed dude. I investigated crimes for a living. Okay. And I didn't say they were innocent or guilty. I let them talk, and the evidence that they presented put them in a position where they weren't even there when Nolan died. So what do you think they did? You think they're guilty just because they were his friends? They weren't there. They have video. They have Life 360. They got GPS coordinates. They showed us video of them leaving the island, getting towed out. Testimony from multiple people. They were not there. But you don't care about what happened to Nolan like I do. You just want the white boys to be wrong so it can feed your ego. Roll the clip.
Black people are right to be suspicious of a state that took 31 years and 3 trials to prosecute and find guilty the murder of Medgar Evers. Black people are right to be suspicious of a state that in 2005 found 215 black people that were dead and buried in a pauper's grave and nobody knew they were there. Black people are right to be suspicious of a state that just killed a 1-year-old boy and nobody's being brought to account about. Black people are right to be suspicious of...
Pause. Roll that back, bro. What did that article say? Roll it back. Play it.
Buried in a pauper's grave and nobody knew they were there. Black people are right to be suspicious of a state that just killed a 1-year-old...
Pause. I can't read because the letters there. It says involved in a fatal shooting of 1-year-old was once accused of exaggerating. What did it say? Exaggerating threat posed by a car. What's the person up there what's the name above his words? Does that say Does it say Mississippi cop or Mississippi man? Okay. Let's play it.
Oh boy, and nobody's being brought to.
Oh, Mississippi officer. Yeah, you know the funny thing is, bro, and I probably remember this situation. There is no way in the world that the officer just killed a 1-year-old. But this how stupid these Negroes are. You stupid enough to say they just walked and killed a 1-year-old. That's why y'all ain't never gonna be nothing, man. And I'm not talking about every black person because there's smart ones like me. I'm talking about you ignorant Negroes. They killed a black kid and the 1-year-old and nobody know about it. You go and look that up. It probably was an officer-involved situation. Matter of fact, look it up for me. 2 things I want y'all to look up for me. How many black people have been murdered by black people in Mississippi in the last 10 years? And then we'll look up some circumstances around this Mississippi officer. And Grant's gonna do that for me, and I'll get back to you guys on the rest of it. Roll the clip.
Black people are right to be suspicious of a state that has been poisoning black people with the water since the 1960s. Black people didn't look for this fight. They want justice. All they want is accountability. And if it's those boys, it should be that. Nobody has a predetermined notion. I don't know what happened. But if you're saying that that Al Sharpton and that Benjamin Crump are on one side, you're certainly on the other. You talk to them for 2 days and now all of a sudden you know if they're guilty. You know if they're innocent. You know that. Your name is...
Time out. I saw video and testimony and GPS and there y'all see the CTO phone call. All of these things are evidence that they were not there. How do you blame somebody for killing a person when they weren't there when the person died? Nobody's saying nobody guilty, innocent. I don't know what happened. Y'all colored Neanderthals are mad at me because I interviewed somebody. And I tried to interview black folks, but they don't want to talk to me. But then I interviewed Tristan, the young black boy, and y'all don't even count him. I guess he's not black enough for y'all. Usually interview white boys. What about the black kid I interviewed? Oh, okay, he don't count. Oh, yeah, I don't want to count him. Okay, because he ain't the right black. He got to be a black man being stupid. All right, let's look at some stats real quick because DL, Stewhead, Hughley, and these other dumb, ignorant Negroes, low vibration Negroes. This is what it says. And how long? What time period is this? 2015 to 2024, about a 10-year period. 3,000 to 3,500 black Mississippians were killed by black offenders. This mother said 3 scenarios, didn't he? He make sure that's right. He gave 3 stories of alleged impropriety. That seemed like a high number, but he gave 3 stories of impropriety spanning over, 30, 40 years. Just in 10 years, there's 3,000 to 3,500 black people killed by other black people. You tell me what, like when y'all talk about historical context, when you stupid, all that stuff makes sense to you. All that stuff makes sense to you. Yeah, see, historical injustice. But yet, black people kill way more black people than in this injustice y'all talking about. You can't even give me 5 stories in the last 10 years. And we got 3,500 black people that have been killed by other black people. So if you want to play the historical injustice math, it's fair to believe that a black man that's killed could be killed by another black man. How you know the black kids that were out there with Nolan had nothing to do with it? Statistically, historically, it's more likely that he'll be killed by a black person. Ignorant, y'all Negroes, ignorant. I'm tired of being nice to y'all. I hope I don't get in trouble with certain people, but I'm tired of being nice to y'all. I'm sick of y'all low vibration, ignorant Negroes. And y'all stupid on every level. And disproportionately, black people come across as stupider than anybody else, disproportionately. Why do you say that, Brandon? Because you got somebody like D.L. Hughley worth $10 million and he's still complaining and being racist against white people every day. Why? Why? If there was a white guy on a radio show like D.L. Hughley in reverse, he'd be sitting there crying about it. But yet, you get to blame white people with no evidence. All right, come on. Let it finish.
Your moniker is Officer Tatum, not Detective Tatum.
Look at this.
You didn't make your way to detective.
Pause. Hey, Stewhead, officers do investigations. I don't know if you understand how police work, but just because you're not doing detective work full time don't mean you're not an investigator. I still had to conduct investigations. I still had to write case reports. I still had to interview people and get to the bottom of murders. I just didn't do the forensic side of it. But as far as talking to murderers, getting written statements from them, I still had to do it. I still have to testify in court on my involvement. I still had to chase them down. I still had to put my hands on them. I still had to use force on them. I wrote thousands of case reports. They're called investigations. DL, what are you saying? Detective work and police work is just a slight step in full-time detective work and no patrol work. That's the only difference. Well, I can say that's the major difference. Me being a detective or not is irrelevant to understanding how to investigate crimes. Roll the clip.
An influencer who says what white people want you to say. And don't you find it interesting that they chose to speak to you, and they chose to speak to you for the same reason that you're a conservative, for the same reason Turning Point did, because you're safe. They know you're a black man who'll do what he's told. You're an unremarkable black man who they know they can count on to be obedient. They pick you for the same reason they pick dogs. What is very interesting to me is this is Nancy Grace.
I left to believe that he goes out swimming all on his own, and the friend girl leaves, the mates from school leave, everybody just leaves him out in the water and he dies.
Now, Nancy Grace is a career prosecutor. She has tried 100 felony trials, 100, and not lost one. And she thinks that's something suspicious.
Pause. You ignorant Negro, Neanderthal. Neanderthal. I'll call you. You have no idea that I was on Nancy Grace's show today, going over this very topic. And won't you tune in and see what Nancy Grace had to say about what I said on her show? Nancy Grace isn't saying conclusively that, and this is Nancy Grace saying things without context and evidence. She said, she actually said, Nancy Grace said she hope I'm right. But you Negroes can't wait to find a white person to disprove me. Talk about white people bad, but you want to find the first one you find white person. Now, I'll respect the Nancy Grace, but I went on her show and I gave context. Nancy Grace's statements that you played was from before she had any context about what happened. To say that the girl and all the friends left him on the island and he died, that's without context. Because he wasn't on a secluded island by himself. Okay. Let him finish. It's 2 more minutes.
But the social media influencer who failed at football and was a mediocre cop all of a sudden knows more than that? I don't know what happened. You don't know what happened. But I do know this. You said that a young woman with a pot of water acted so suspiciously that she should be shot by cops.
I think that this is justified, but it could have been avoided, but still justified. You can't throw boiling water on a police officer and not get shot.
But you don't think people that were on a boat with somebody, in proximity to somebody, and that person comes that day, acted so suspicious, they should be questioned?
Hold on. They were questioned, Stewhead. They talked to the police. This is why y'all ain't never gonna make it in life, man. This is why these people ain't never gonna make it, bro. Like, the only reason I don't totally think black people are completely a lost cause because I grew up around black people. I got black people in my family whom I love. So I have experience with black people who are not completely retarded. But when you look at these people, and I see why white people are sick of y'all, Because if you ain't never met reasonable black people, and you listen to these fools all day, you gotta think black people has gotta be the dumbest people on planet Earth. You have to be biased looking at the stupidity. You got you think a woman who throwing a hot boiling water on somebody should get shot. That's called deadly force. I don't think she should get shot because she's black. I think she gets shot because it's according to the law. If you're in fear of serious bodily injury or death, which boiling water can cause, then a cop can shoot you. And the only reason this cop got in trouble because he white. And they want to make an example out of this cop. And he was a stewhead by the stuff he said before he ended up having to shoot her, which put him in a position where they will argue that he instigated it. But she threw boiling water at the cops. Go throw boiling water at cops today and see if you don't get smoked and they let you off. And they let the cop off. Let a black cop shoot you after you throw boiling water on him. He ain't going to jail. I don't understand these people, man. They at least should be investigated. Then can you do any research, man? Can you do any level of work? They clearly already got interviewed. The police interviewed 60 people. All right, super chat. Captain Jax. As a cop for 26 years, I work homicide, officers involved shootings, and all other. I watch your interviews. The boys were truthful. A truthful person conveys truthfulness. A guilty person tries to convince you they are truthful. And look, you can say the person biased because they were a cop for 20-some years, but I know the truth. I know my intentions. And some of you guys, some of you guys care, which I'll share with you. Some of y'all don't care if Jesus Christ tell you that everything was kosher, and you'll still be mad. But we went out there, we got approached by them. We went out there to just hear their side of the story. We went out there with no promise of an interview. That we didn't settle on an interview. Some of them were still apprehensive to even talk to us. We had to be vetted. And when I say vetted, meaning that we talked to them on the phone, we talked to lawyers and everything, not about the case. They didn't want to talk about the case. They wanted to see, is Brandon Tatum really who he say he is? Does this man have integrity? Is this man going to come and be fair? That's before we even went out there. Then we get out there and we like, well, let's see what we can find. And they end up sharing information with us. And then two kids ended up doing the interview. The other kids didn't do the interview. So it ain't like they want to solicit Officer Tatum to come out here and do these interviews because he a chucking and jiving for the white man. Well, then why the other kids didn't do an interview? And I know why they didn't do an interview, because they were afraid that stewheads like him will take one thing they said, twist it out of context, and then frame a whole thing about them and making the situation worse when they didn't even say that. All right, play this and I'm done. I got to get a haircut. Roll it.
That's who you are. Debate you for what? What you are is what the people before you, you're Diamond and Silk, you're Candace Owens, you're Stacey Dash, you're that. And your career will age like avocados, because that's what they do. There'll be somebody else that replaces you. I've been around for 40 years doing what I do, and you still know my name. You know how I got to know yours? Somebody sent me a coon alert. They said, and you fit the bill. I don't know who you are, but I know what you are. I know what you do, because I've seen people like you in my entire life. You can assail my career, but my career is longer than your life. You mentioned my name, and I have no idea who you are.
Because you're older than me. DL, you've been doing it for 40 years. I'm not even 40. I hope that I know your name if you've been doing it for 40 years. What are you saying, bro? But anyway, go ahead, roll it.
But I do know this, that one day when all of this is done, and it'll be after the next election cycle. When people are wondering who you are, when you go the way of the Larry Elders, or the Sheriff Clarks, or the Candace Owens, or the Diamond and Silks, or the Stacey Dash.
That fool got 4 people in his arsenal. First of all, Candace Owens, whether you like her or not, have the biggest show on the internet. She's go by the wayside. She got 100,000 plus people watching her live every day. And what are you talking about, bro? Larry Elder still have one of the biggest shows on Salem radio. Wrote more books than you have done hit comedy shows. Look, man. Let me say this to the audience, y'all. And thank all of y'all for watching. I appreciate y'all. Let me say this, man. I wish that there was a day that we all could get along. I'm not doing anything wrong to black people. It's just some of y'all Negroes don't want to hear criticism. Y'all will be just fine if I never mention anything about black people killing each other every day. Y'all love me. While we're laying dead in the street, you love me because I'm not pointing it out. Homeboy got 6 baby mamas, don't take care of none of his kids. And you mad at me for pointing it out, but you're not mad at him for not taking care of his kids. You mad at me for telling that a brother need to stop pulling guns on police officers. You're not mad at the brother for doing that. You mad at me for talking about him doing it. Have y'all ever realized that? These Neanderthals are mad at me for pointing things out. They're not mad at the people who are doing the wrong. They mad at me for being a cop, patrolling my own community. But they're not mad at these brothers killing each other every day. I ain't seen D.L. Hughley complain one time about, like, tell me this. Which one is worse? Brandon Tatum giving political commentary, and I call everybody out. Y'all sensitive Negroes get mad when they black. I talk trash about white people all the time. But for some reason, you Fabergé eggs of society can't handle criticism, and so you mad and want to kill me because I'm just pointing out the obvious. But I'll leave it at that. I criticize because I care. And 3,000 black people have been killed by black people in Mississippi in the last 10 years, and y'all don't care about that. You care about Nolan, who could have possibly drowned. Ask any of these people, if he had drowned, what are you gonna do? They can't conceive that he drowned.